Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Sri Lakshmi, a DNB resident, Department of Pediatrics, Kims Health. Today, I'll be presenting an interesting case which was admitted in our hospital 2 months back. It was a case of malnutrition.
Sri Lakshmi, sorry,
Beginning
your
with the case,
video is not
we
on.
had a
Your
8-month.
video is not on.
I think she has switched it off for clarity of her voice, I think.
No, sir. Actually, I'll check.
If you have a good bandwidth, you can switch on your video.
Yeah, now on. Now okay. Okay.
If your voice is not clear, you can switch off the video. Otherwise, it will be better to see you. You are not audible.
So, we had an 8-month-old boy. Presenting complaints were poor weight gain and rashes over the body for 5 months, loose stools for 2 months, poor activity for 1, swelling of both feet noted for the previous 2 weeks. Moving on to the history of present illness, since it is an 8-month-old child of non-consanguineous marriage, antenatally there was no history of exposure.
Dr. Sri Lakshmi, I think you can switch off your video. Your audio is not very clear. So if you switch off your video, your audio will be better.
Okay, ma'am.
And in between, we will be interrupting. So you listen to that also. Okay.
History of present illness.
Can you start from the
It was the second child of non-consanguineous marriage. Antenatally,
Lakshmi, can you start from the first slide?
No history of fever with rash, joint pain or swellings over the body.
Sri Lakshmi, you start from the beginning. You start from the beginning.
Start from the
You start from the beginning. You go back to the first slide. Go back to the first slide.
Okay, okay.
Previous one, yeah.
Start again.
Now you can start. Yeah.
Be little slower. Don't be in a very fast.
Yes, ma'am. So it was an 8-month-old boy coming from Kollam. The informant was mother, and the history was reliable. The presenting complaints were poor weight gain and rashes over the body for 5 months, loose stools for 2 months, poor activity for 1 month, and swelling of both feet for the last 2 weeks prior to admission. Moving on to the history of present illness, since it is an 8-month-old child, I would start with the antenatal history. This was the second child of non-consanguineous marriage. Antenatally, there was no history of fever with rash, joint pain, or swellings over the body, no history of exposure to radiations, no history of bleeding PV in the first trimester, no history of gestational diabetes mellitus or gestational hypertension, and all the antenatal scans were normal.
What is the swelling over the body?
Lymphadenopathy, madam. Fever with lymphadenopathy.
Oh. That we usually don't tell like the swellings over the body. Eh? Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Moving on to natal history, it was a term baby born by cesarean section. Indication was a previous years. The baby cried soon after birth, and the birth weight was 3.25 kg, and the baby had an uneventful immediate newborn period.
What was the birth spacing between the first and the second baby?
Elder child is 7 years old, ma'am.
So there is
adequate spacing is there.
Long spacing actually. Okay. What is your comment about the birth weight 3.25 kg?
It's a normal birth weight, ma'am.
That we know.
It is upper limb.
It is a surrogate marker of intrauterine nutrition.
Nutrition.
That is why I asked about the spacing, etc. That lack of spacing, maternal malnutrition, maternal illnesses can affect this. So we are happy that the baby's in utero nutrition was Good. This is the surrogate marker of in utero nutrition. What is the golden period in a baby's life?
From the period of conception to 2 years of age, madam. First 1,000 days of life.
To the second birthday. So in that 270 days was okay. Because we see that in most of the cases, the malnutrition starts in utero. Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Continue.
Postnatal history, the baby was on exclusive breastfeeding. Baby was fed every 2 hours and continued on breastfeeding even at night, every 2 hours. He was adequately gaining. Mother had let down reflex and the baby used to sleep for 1.5 to 2 hours after feeding, had adequate urine output also, and the baby was gaining weight adequately. At the first immunization visit, baby had gained the weight of 4.1 kg, and at 10 weeks, baby had gained weight of 5.1 kg.
Hold it there. Huh? So what is your comment about the breastfeeding practices?
Baby-friendly breastfeeding hospital initiative, ma'am. Baby should be breastfed as soon as at the earliest, ma'am, after delivery, both normal and cesarean section. A baby should be continued on exclusive breastfeeding up to till 6 months of age.
What is the current concept about exclusive breastfeeding? This you are telling scheduled feeding, isn't it? Every 2 hours. So we were talking about scheduled feeding some years back. Every 2 hourly you should feed, or 3 hourly you should feed. Then we started telling about demand feed. Now
demand feed.
What is the current concept about breastfeeding? What is the current
demand?
2018 BFHI? If anybody knows, you can type it. If anybody knows, yes, I have got the answer from Abhinaya. That is
responsive.
It is responsive feeding. So, what do you know about responsive feeding?
Identifying the cues of hunger cues.
Mother will identify the hunger cues and then feed the baby, and she has to ensure what? Emptying.
Emptying.
You can feed, but that can be 4 milk alone, isn't it?
Yes.
So emptying should be emphasized, and understanding hunger cues and emptying. These are the things. So, what is your comment about the 6-week weight, 4.21, in relation to the birth weight?
Birth weight was 3.25, ma'am. About 900 gram weight was gained in 1 month, ma'am. That
the baby is coming after 6 weeks. First week there is no weight gain. So 5 weeks of weight gain, 200 grams per week.
Yes.
Nearly 1,000 gram. That is 1 kg should be there for every baby when they come for the 6-week checkup. This information should be given to the mother so that she will be alerted about it. And premature babies and low birth weight babies will have catch-up growth. So they will gain more than 1,000. So no problem if you keep the goal at least 1 kg. And if there is no 1 kg weight gain, there must be some problem, a congenital heart disease or an inborn error of metabolism or a feeding problem. So initially, this seems to be okay. Then they are coming after 4 weeks. So again, 4 into 200. So it should be 200 grams per week. So at least 800 grams per week gain. But this baby has already gained 1 kilograms. So initial weight gain was okay. Go ahead.
At 3 months of age, her mother noticed the baby to have hypopigmented macular rash, probably dry skin-like rash. First started on the undersurface of chin, and it gradually spread to the neck and whole body. It later became reddish in color, and the skin started to peel off. They consulted a nearby dermatologist and was treated as probable atopy and with topical medications.
Okay, they said that it is atopy. Did they say?
Yes, ma'am. I had seen their records, ma'am. It was treated as atopic dermatitis.
What are the differential diagnosis for this rash and at 3 months? Starting in the neck, in the chin, or
niacin deficiency, biotin deficiency.
So you You tell me the common things first. What all you will suppose somebody is coming.
Candidiasis, ma'am. Candidiasis.
Yeah, mucocutaneous candidiasis. So did the baby have any oral thrush at that time? You will have to tell us about that. Huh?
Ma'am,
And suppose it starts in the perianal region also. How do you differentiate between diaper rash and mucocutaneous candidiasis?
ma'am, so there will be satellite lesions in case of fungal infection.
The groin, that is the fold. The groin fold will be free if it is diaper rash, because the contact
Flexures,
in the,
skin folds and flexures will be
whereas
involved.
if it is in the mucocutaneous candidiasis, the groove will also be affected. So you can think of candidiasis, but you don't have the information whether oral thrush was there. Okay, to atopy, then it started around the chin. That means I must say around the mouth. So anything else? I'm giving you some more clue. Anybody?
Skin infections like impetigo, skin infections, ma'am.
No, no. Anything else? Somebody has answered. Sing. Acrodermatitis. Around the mouth, periorifice.
And
You must consider acrodermatitis. Okay. Then niacin. That is zinc deficiency.
yes, ma'am.
Already considered. Anjana has answered. And what about that? What about niacin? How does niacin present? It is now becoming very rare. What is the disease called? What is the disease called?
Casals, pellagra, ma'am.
Pellagra. Pellagra is photosensitive. So it is very unlikely to start in this age. When the baby is more mature, isn't it? Those who go out will get the photosensitive rash. And then you said, second one you said, zinc should come first. Then niacin you said very unlikely. What else did you say? You said something else. Anybody?
Biotin deficiencies, ma'am.
Biotin or biotidinase deficiency. What is the other manifestation for that? Apart from skin rash? What is the telltale sign of that? You will have hypotonia, seizures, neurological manifestation.
Okay.
Seizures and
Neurological symptoms.
Did the baby have that? Probably.
No, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
No. At around the same time, that is around 3 months of age, mother also noticed poor weight gain. At 3.5 months, vaccination for at 3.5 months, baby had gained only 5.16 kg weight. That is only around 500 gram weight was gained in 1 month, while the baby was still on exclusive breastfeeding. But by this time, by around 3 months, mother got involved in household activities. And
5.1 to 5.16 is what? 160.
weight gain.
So what is
50 grams.
Baby gained 600 grams.
50 grams.
60 grams.
50 grams, 50 grams, 60 grams. She gained only 50 grams in 1 month while on exclusive breastfeeding.
You said 500. But this is only
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay.
50 grams. 60. But mother says that she got involved more in household activities at that time, and she could pay less attention to her nutrition and also less attention to the baby. And she had started that she felt that there was reduced milk.
What would have happened? The baby developed the skin problem. Baby was now irritable, crying, but mother was not paying attention to that and emptying. She was not ensuring emptying, responsive feeding. Okay, feeding also. Okay.
Feeding was done.
Less adequate, we must say. Okay.
Less adequate feeds, ma'am. But ma'am, I couldn't hear you, ma'am.
Mother was not paying attention. That means feeding support. That is what I said. Okay. Did you hear?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. baby was still continued exclusive breastfeeding every 2 to 3 hours. But this during this period, mother noticed that the child would sleep only for 30 minutes to maximum 1 hour after feeds, and she did not have the usual letdown reflex also. So there were features of reduced breast milk in the mother.
So that is called lactation. It went into a lactation failure. Initially, it was a
Failure.
successful lactation. Now it became a lactation
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 failure.
Okay. Then what happened?
So the baby was continued on breastfeeds till 5 months of age. But by 5 months, since the breast milk was mother found the breast milk to be inadequate, she started the baby on complementary feeds. She started the baby with palm jaggery. It was prepared hygienically and given in a semi-solid consistency. It was alternated with banana powder porridge also. The quantity was only
feeding bottle. She was using spoon or hand.
not feeding bottle, ma'am, with this cup and spoon only, ma'am.
So what is
Quantity
the time for complementary feeding?
after 6 months, madam.
6 months. Why? Why that 6 months?
That is the till 6 months breast milk will be maximum, ma'am, and the baby's intestinal enzymes all will become more mature, and the other renal function will all improve and will be able to handle this protein load by this time.
Baby is developmentally, physiologically ready, isn't it? Is there, baby has hand-mouth coordination, they enjoy gumming, and Abhinaya has written another thing, that is tongue thrust will disappear. To drink, the tongue should come to the front. To eat, the tongue should go back. Tongue thrust should disappear. That usually disappears by 6 months. So early introduction of complementary feeding, what are the disadvantages?
There will be
that is early introduction is because of failure of
breastfeeding, ma'am.
Failure of exclusive breastfeeding. Second, wrong information. Third, contamination, infection, diarrhea, and leaky gut. What happens with leaky gut? There can be
diarrhea, ma'am. Osmotic diarrhea.
Not diarrhea. Diarrhea will be because of contamination. Leaky gut will lead to allergies. That is, the baby may not split all the protein into they may absorb whole protein intact. For that matter, cow's milk protein, any food, multiple food protein allergy can come. And now they say even autism, everything they say the leaky gut theory is there. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Anyway, they started, this is not the ideal thing. So we are seeing some lacunae in the IYCF practice, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. That is the highlight here. Go to the next slide.
Baby developed loose stools 2 months back prior to admission. It was watery in nature with no blood content. Initially, the purge rate was only 2 to 3 times per day. Later, it increased to 6 to 7 purges per day, but it was not associated with excessive crying or vomiting. The baby had good urine output also.
So
but
when
for the past,
the baby is having diarrhea, we have to differentiate it into watery diarrhea and invasive or blood. So watery diarrhea is divided into what types? Is watery diarrhea one group or it has got multiple subtypes? What are the subtypes of watery diarrhea?
osmotic diarrhea and secretory diarrhea, ma'am.
So osmotic diarrhea and secretory diarrhea, or sometimes secretory diarrhea cropping upon osmotic diarrhea. It may be mixed type of diarrhea. Okay, what was this? You have taken the. So you try to tell me whether this baby had osmotic diarrhea or what, or secretory diarrhea, or both.
It could be secretory diarrhea, ma'am.
Why? Why do you say it is secretory? It is more common. Osmotic diarrhea or secretory diarrhea?
Minor.
It is more common.
Uh,
Osmotic.
Maybe
Osmotic
osmotic.
diarrhea is by far more common because osmotically active particles, even lot of lactose is going in. It cannot be absorbed, isn't it? And
Nice.
rotavirus is well known to produce osmotic diarrhea. So osmotic diarrhea is by far more common. Secretory diarrhea is due to toxins. That is enterotoxin, E. coli, cholera. That is not very common at this age, isn't it? Or crypt cell hyperplasia. Each crypt cell may act as may secrete. So that can also happen. But you will have to ask questions, leading questions to find out whether this diarrhea is related to a food intake. I give milk or feed, after that there is diarrhea. I don't give milk or feed for during the night and there is no diarrhea at that time. Whereas the secretory diarrhea will continue during night, whether you starve, whatever you give rest to the gut, whatever you do, the secretory diarrhea will continue. Whereas osmotic diarrhea will be episodic diarrhea, which is more in volume, secretory or osmotic?
Secretory diarrhea is more involved.
More in volume. Okay. Then what happened? So we do not have the information here, but we will have to differentiate because the treatment will vary depending upon whether it is osmotic diarrhea or secretory diarrhea. Okay, go ahead.
Mother noticed the child to be less active for the past 1 month. Child had increased appetite and was feeding frequently at the breast for more than 1 hour continuously.
Okay.
And
So diarrhea will have increased appetite. Usually when you have diarrhea, you will have less appetite, no? You vomit,
Yes.
you have nausea, you won't eat. You won't feel like eating.
Probably osmotic diarrhea, ma'am.
Osmotic diarrhea, or in a chronic setting, it may be malabsorption. Malabsorption. Yeah, can feed. Okay.
Kindly everybody try to mute the.
Mute. Fatima. Go ahead.
Baby was started on formula feeds at this time. It was prepared in proper dilution, but it was given using bottle feeds, and the bottle was sterilized by boiling in water for 5 minutes.
So you see how IYCF practices collapse. It started off well. Intrauterine nutrition was good. Breastfeeding thriving well. Now everything is collapsing. She introduced bottle. She introduced formula. Okay. And now what happened to the baby?
Baby started developing swelling of both feet around 2 weeks prior to admission, but there was no associated abdominal distension or puffiness of face.
I would like to call it edema rather than swelling. Swelling means is it joint swelling? Lot of questions will come.
Okay.
Edema, everybody can understand. Even the mother can understand. Okay.
There was no history of any recurrent respiratory infections or ear infections. No history of
trying to rule out by telling me this story.
Immunodeficiency, ma'am. Immunodeficiency conditions. And no history of fast breathing or bluish discoloration of body to rule out any associated cardiac disease.
Congenital heart disease. Okay. Then
no history of an increased urine output to rule out any chronic renal problems. And no history of
renal tubular acidosis or
renal tubular acidosis. Or no history of passing large volume bulky stools to rule out any malabsorption syndrome.
Oily stool.
And child was being admitted in a hospital.
Foul smelling stool, oily stool. Okay.
The baby was admitted in view of inadequate weight gain, persisting loose stools, and worsening skin rash with poor activity.
So if you triage this baby according to IMNCI, where will you triage this baby? Baby has come with these complaints.
red zone, ma'am.
Why do you say it is red zone?
There's edema, poor activity, apathy, poor activity,
And malnutrition, no? Losing
malnutrition.
malnutrition itself is a red flag. With edema. Okay, you are right. So this baby will be triaged into the red or the pink category and will have to be admitted. Okay, then we admitted. What happened then?
Moving on to the diet history, ma'am. The baby was exclusive breastfed till 5 months of age. Breastfeeding was adequate for the initial 3 months. Then the breastfeeding started decreasing. Baby was started on complementary feeds with ragi at 5 months of age. Prior to the admission in hospital, baby had been receiving 100 calories plus breastfeeding and proteins of 2 grams along with breastfeeds. But for the last 1 month, the baby was started on formula feeds also, and the baby was being given complementary feeds, that is ragi and banana powder twice a day. So the calorie intake was around 520 kilocalories plus 7 gram protein along with breastfeeds. Breastfeed quantity we were not sure because it was inadequate.
To get 520 calories from ragi and banana powder, the baby must be taking, if the baby takes 1 kilogram of 100 grams of ragi.
No, ma'am. Formula feed was also given, ma'am. 60 ml formula feeds every third hourly was given.
Okay.
Along with
formula feed, this is the intake. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Complementary feeds was only given twice a day. That is, half a bowl was given twice a day only.
Okay. So we improved the diet. Good. Then what happened?
Development history. The baby had attained social smile at 2 months, head control by 3.5 months, turnover by 4 months, crawling by 5 months, and child used to say monosyllables by 7 months of age. But for the past 2 weeks,
what is your comment on the development?
Baby was having adequate development for age, ma'am.
All
the milestones domains were normal for age, attained at normal ages. But for the
what happened?
For the past 2 weeks, child had become lethargic. Child was apathetic. Child used to look at the mother, but the smiling was not there. Gross motor, there was no
regression of social smile. Then return of social smile is a good sign of
recovery from. Gross motor, there was no spontaneous turnover or crawling for the last 2 weeks. Fine motor, there was transfer of toys from one hand to another. Social, baby had stranger anxiety. Language and hearing was normal. So all the milestones were around appropriate for around 6 months of age at that time, at the time of presentation.
Some arrest of certain milestones. Social smile got arrested. We don't know whether it regressed forever or, but we expect it to return. So we can say there was a arrest of certain
milestone.
Crawling, the baby stopped crawling. Gross motor usually gets affected in malnutrition. Social smile gets affected in malnutrition. Okay.
Immunization history. The baby was immunized for age according to the National Immunization Schedule. BCG scar was present. There was no history of any adverse events following immunization, and additional vaccines, pneumococcal and rotavirus was taken.
So I will ask you one more question related to diet. When do we celebrate the complementary feeding day?
Madam, couldn't hear you, madam.
Complementary feeding day is celebrated when we have decided. Okay, the answer has come. 6th June. 6th month, 6th day. That this year onwards, the IAP has accepted. We were recommending that. They have accepted that. So all of us should celebrate. And every baby should have checkup at 6th month. Now, after 3.5 months, we call them at 9 months. By the time the developmental inputs we cannot give, and regarding complementary feeding, and the feeding would have collapsed by that time. Many mothers stop breastfeeding, etc. So at 6 months, there should be a checkup for the baby for anticipatory nutrition guidance, then giving developmental inputs, etc. and monitoring the growth of the baby.
Okay, ma'am. Family history. This was a second child of non-consanguineous marriage. The elder sibling was 7 years old and healthy. There's history of atopy in father. Both parents were graduates and were government employees. They belonged to an upper middle class family.
You could have drawn a pedigree. Okay. Go to next.
Okay. Moving on to the examination. Child is apathetic. There was no pallor, no icterus, cyanosis, clubbing, or lymphadenopathy. There was bilateral pitting pedal edema.
How did you elicit pitting and pedal edema?
Pressing over the both feet, ma'am, pressing over the dorsum of the foot with a thumb for 3 to 5 seconds, and then wait for.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes. Go to next.
Head to foot examination. Head was normal in size.
Baby, looking at the baby, the general comment is that the baby looked
Apathetic.
malnourished, isn't it? Wasted.
Yes, ma'am.
With edema.
Head was normal in size, appears normal in size. AF was open. Hair was thin, sparse, brittle, and it was easily pluckable. There was no moon face. Eyes showed no pallor. No sunken eyes or white spots were seen. No nasal or ear discharge. There was no cheilitis, gingivitis, angular stomatitis, but oral thrush was seen.
Okay.
No.
Oral thrush was there. What does that mean to you? Oral thrush at 8 months. Usually newborns have oral thrush. What does that mean?
Maybe due to the pure malnutrition, ma'am.
Okay, agreed. Malnutrition. But what deficiency? T cell.
Immunodeficiency. You should rule out immunodeficiency also.
T cell deficiency. Is the one which will predispose you to fungal infections.
Fungal infections.
And B cell, cyanopulmonary infections, viral encephalitis, all those things. Okay. What is the order in which the edema will come in a case of kwashiorkor?
Pedal edema.
First is pedal, then
abdominal wall distension.
Then face. Pedal, then face, then body.
Abdominal distension.
And then serous cavities. Serous cavities. So as I see, it is large. Okay. And in marasmus, how do you see the wasting? What is the order in which the wasting will come?
Axilla and thighs, ma'am. Then second is buttocks.
Growing first, then
axilla and groin, buttocks.
Thigh and buttocks, then
buttocks. Says chest and abdomen.
And last buccal pad of
fat.
Why this difference? Why this difference? Anybody? Because the brown fat will be metabolized first, because the body is craving for essential amino acids and essential fatty acids, isn't it? And what you have in the cheek is not brown fat, metabolically less active fat. That is wasted last.
Okay,
go ahead.
Skin showed erythematous rash with peeling of skin over the extremities, trunk, and perianal areas.
What are the descriptions of skin rashes in malnutrition?
Flaky pain dermatosis and crazy pavement dermatosis.
These classic things not seen these days. But what do you see? What do you see these days? It may not be very typical. Now we call it nutritional dermatosis. It may not be very typical as textbook description. Then
just there was no scorbutic rosary or Harrison sulcus.
Have you seen scorbutic rosary very often?
No, ma'am.
No, mitochondrial junctions were normal, you can say. Looked normal. No rosary. No. How do you know whether it is scorbutic or
painful, sharp angulation?
Don't fit everything for a classic case. Your case has not read all your textbook descriptions. You can say chest, costochondral junctions, no bleeding was seen.
Okay.
And breast milk is a very good source of vitamin C. Mother was giving some breast milk.
Yes, ma'am.
Costochondral junctions were normal. And This child developed features of rickets. Why you are telling only about score beauty?
Both Harrison's and both, ma'am.
Baby on vitamin D supplement.
Yes, ma'am. Baby was given vitamin D.
That he should have said. Baby was on vitamin D. That is why I don't consider. But the dose may not be adequate sometimes. Okay.
Okay.
Can this baby present with vitamin D deficiency?
Usually not, ma'am. Because babies are breastfeeding and on vitamin D supplements, it is less likely.
But because
And only
malnutrition, baby is not growing, but still there can be osteomalacia, osteopenia, everything can happen. So don't say that you won't see it at all. You can see it. Harrison sulcus, not seen. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Anthropometry, weight was 5.3 kg, that is 62% of expected. Length 67, weight for length 67% of expected. Head circumference 42 and mid upper arm circumference 11.5. That is
let's just hold it. You can say percentile here, 34, and if you don't have any charts, we would be using this only. So what is your interpretation about weight 62%?
Weight for it 62% is grade 2
Moderate.
Moderate.
What is it? Grade 2 what?
Grade 2 underweight, ma'am.
That is, don't say PM, that is gone. Protein, energy, malnutrition cannot be diagnosed by weight for age. You have to do other tests, isn't it? There are 10 causes for a child to be underweight. And one of the major causes is malnutrition. And it is not only protein and energy. By giving protein and energy, you can cure this child also. The micronutrient deficit, the antioxidant deficit, nothing is reflected in that. Okay. This child is moderately underweight. What about the length?
Length is normal, ma'am. No stunting.
No stunting. Then what about weight for length?
There is weight for length. There is severe wasting.
Severe wasting is there. What is your comment about the head circumference?
It is normal for age, ma'am. It is.
It's okay. Muvak?
It is low, ma'am. It is moderate acute malnutrition. 11.5 is moderate acute malnutrition.
Okay.
Moving on to a graph.
Less than 66 centimeters, the cut will be 11. Okay. Now you have the charts with you. What are the charts? What does the chart say?
First one is the weight for age in boys, ma'am. The WHO chart. I plotted the weight percentiles, ma'am. First birth weight was 3.2, 3.25. It was in the 50th centile. Then at 1.5 months, it was 4.1. That is between the 15th and 3rd centile. At 2.5 months, it was nearer to the 15th centile.
How do you
interpret at present?
That now there is no weight gain. There is a flat curve. There is a downward curve. There is a flat curve. What is this? How do you interpret this? There is down crossing of 2
centiles.
Down crossing. So, what does that qualify this baby to be called?
Failure to thrive, ma'am.
Okay. So this chart itself says that this baby has a failure to thrive. And below 3rd percentile does not give you the gravity of the, is it low weight or very low weight? You said it is moderately underweight by the
percentage.
But when you have an evidence that it is below -3, don't give importance to that.
Okay.
So now, would you say that this baby is severely underweight or moderately underweight?
This baby is severely underweight because it lies below -3.
If you don't have access to the growth charts, we will go by bedside calculation, which is not so accurate, isn't it? By that you said it is moderately underweight, but here now it is severely underweight. When you have this data that it is severely underweight, you vote for this. You select this. Okay. Start.
Next is length for age, ma'am. The baby's length is between the 15th and 3rd centile. In the Z score, it lies between 0 to -2. So
It is within the normal limit.
normal zone, normal limits.
Why this baby is not having? We expect
Because length is normal for age, ma'am. Maybe initial feeding was normal. Only an acute lactation failure has caused the sudden.
yeah, this is an acute event, and this baby is too young. Chronic malnutrition means many months of malnutrition, many years of malnutrition is required for that. Huh? Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go to.
Next is a weight for length chart. The baby's weight for length is below the 3rd centile, and in the Z score, it lies below. It is less than -3 Z
So
score.
my advice is that if the baby is growing normally, go for the centile chart, because we want to know whether he is 50th centile, 50th centile, 97th centile, etc. If the baby is not growing normally, you will have to take the Z score charts. Then only you can bring out the gravity of the problem. Okay.
Okay.
So what does this baby qualify for now for diagnosis? Failure to thrive is the label. Agreed. Because
Yes, ma'am.
failure to thrive, non-crossing. Then
This is severe wasting, classing as severe acute malnutrition, ma'am.
okay, good.
Head circumference, it was lying in the 3rd centile, but when we plotted on the Z score, it is on just at the -2 Z score. That means it is normal,
What is microcephaly?
less than -3 Z scores.
-3 Z score. Okay. So baby's head circumference is normal, and the development is also okay, except for the arrest of certain milestones, isn't it? Rolling and social smile.
Yes, ma'am.
Then go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So this is the inference. The weight for age was less than 3rd centile, and it was below 3 Z scores. Length was normal, no stunting.
Put everything together in the first presentation, first slide itself. Huh? Percentage, percentile, and Z score, everything should come together.
Okay.
Skip this. We have
Next
already discussed.
Development assessment, gross motor, the baby did not have a spontaneous rollover or sitting with support, but when the baby was made to sit, baby was able to sit with rounded back. There is a transfer of objects from one hand to another. There was social stranger anxiety, monosyllables. Baby used to use monosyllables, and hearing and vision was normal. Development assessment was normal except for
Gross motor and social smile, some arrest of the milestone. And we have to follow up and see what is going to happen to the baby. Okay. Go to next.
system examination. Liver was palpable 1.5 centimeter below the right costal margin, but liver span was normal.
You are suddenly jumping into palpation. Where is inspection?
Madam, all symptoms were normal limits, ma'am. Abdomen.
Dilated veins.
There was no,
You may see.
in inspection, ma'am, head to foot examination mentioned there was no abdominal distension, no dilated veins.
When GIT examination comes, you should mention. Don't jump into palpation. Liver span is important. So liver, what is the consistency of the liver?
It was soft, ma'am, soft.
What do you expect in this baby?
There can be a fatty liver, ma'am. It can be enlarged. There can be a fatty liver.
Okay.
There was no ascites.
What do you expect in the respiratory system in this baby? What can you expect in the respiratory system?
There can be effusions, ma'am.
Okay. But we said the order in which the edema will come, no? That is the last. Suppose you had mooning of face, body edema, then only you can think of ascites or effusion. We can think of that. There may be hidden infections. There, the X-ray may show miliary tuberculosis, but the baby, because of malnutrition, may not mount temperature, fast breathing, etc. Without signs, there may be pneumonia. So you have to look carefully for evidence of pneumonia. Infection is part and parcel of malnutrition. What do you expect in the GI, in the CVS? What do you expect in the CVS?
There can be cardiac features of cardiac failure, ma'am.
There can be cardiac failure. Why cardiac failure?
And because of there can be associated anemia. Then,
What other micronutrient can lead to cardiomyopathy?
thiamine deficiency.
Cardiomyopathy. Iron? Anybody else?
Thiamine,
Micronutrients. Selenium, thiamine. Okay. So many of them can cause nutritional cardiomyopathy and flavimyocardium. There can be that. Sometimes you can get opposite of that. What is that? What do you get in marasmus? Microcardia.
Microcardia.
Okay. Because of the atrophy of the muscles.
Muscles.
Cardiovascular system. What can you get in the CNS in malnutrition?
Apathy, or seizures,
Yes.
hypotonia. Apathy, seizures, hypotonia.
Hypotonia. And delayed myelination. So a 2-year-old can have outgoing plantar because the myelination is dependent on the micronutrients, isn't it? There will be micronutrient deficiencies. And severe anemia cause pyramidal signs. That is risk reflexes. Pyramidal tract is very vulnerable to anemia. Okay. Now you have done with the systems. Go to your next slide.
Summary, ma'am. It was an 8-month-old male baby admitted with poor weight gain, loose stools, and poor activity. Diet history was suggestive of inadequate nutritional intake. Examination revealed an apathic child with bilateral pitching pedal edema, thin lusterless hair, skin peeling, and erythematous rash. Anthropometry suggestive of severe wasting, low mid-upper arm circumference with a normal length and head circumference, and all system examination were within normal limits.
Weight for length below 3rd percentile. What does that mean?
That means wasting.
Below -3 Z score.
Standard scores. Okay.
Don't say 3rd percentile. 3rd percentile is low weight itself is 3rd percentile. But very low weight is very low will be. So don't. Again I'm repeating. So when the child is growing normally, standard charts are very good. Otherwise, go for Z score. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Diagnosis. Diagnosis is edematous severe acute malnutrition. Etiology is nutritional, probably due to inadequate intake or due to persistent diarrhea.
So would you like to refine your diagnosis? So we have heard we have listened to the story. So how will you modify your diagnosis? What is the label for this child? This baby will come under what label?
Failure to thrive.
Failure to thrive. So you must put that this is a case of
failure to thrive.
Right. Then my next question is it organic, environmental, biologic? Now we call it biopsychosocial. Biologic reasons, psychological reasons, social reasons. Why this baby developed FTP? What do you think?
Inorganic cause, probably due to faulty feeding.
Is there anything more than that?
And persistent diarrhea.
To be on the wiser side, we don't know whether there is any organic cause. Why the diarrhea is there, isn't it? So it is better that you, at this point of time, you say it will be a mixed type. I am thinking of biological reasons which I will investigate for, isn't it?
Okay.
And there is wrong information, feeding had IYCF practice collapse. That is all environmental. So this is a case of failure to thrive, who had a normal birth weight but with wrong, faulty feeding practices. We said what were the faulty feeding practices. Then you have to say that this child is severely underweight, severely wasted, but there is no stunting. and clinically presenting as a severe acute
Malnutrition.
with, you qualify the other things. Suppose I say cerebral palsy, I have to say with seizures, with sense organ defects, etc., isn't it? Mental abnormality. So continue with that. Severe acute.
Malnutrition.
So whatever you have gathered, you put it in your diagnosis. This is a case of ALS, right? Most probably biopsychosocial reasons are there. And severely underweight, severely wasted, with no standing, clinically presenting as SAM, with nutritional dermatosis, mental
Okay.
failures, and
Edema.
will you call it persistent diarrhea or chronic diarrhea?
Persistent. mm,
Any diarrhea more than 2 weeks you can call persistent, provided it started as an acute episode. Did it start as an acute episode or did it start insidious?
Start as an acute episode, ma'am, around 5 months of age.
With fever, acute episode, or just started like that and continued like that?
No history of fever, ma'am, but it started.
Was it an infective cause at that time?
Probably there's no history of fever, ma'am, but probably it started as a viral infection triggered diarrhea, viral diarrhea.
Then you should have given us the story that it was like an osmotic diarrhea. You don't have the information. So a persistent diarrhea is one which persists after an acute episode. Till that time, everything was normal. Persistent diarrhea, usually nowadays persistent diarrhea is less and it will respond to some of the dietary manipulations. Any diarrhea, according more than 4 times, more than 4 weeks, in this case, I would prefer to call it a chronic diarrhea. There is a chapter in Nelson also, chronic diarrhea, diarrheal disorders.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Edematous SAM, where is the edema? Clinically presenting as SAM, edematous SAM, or Kwashiorkor, you can say.
Okay.
All the gravity of the diagnosis should come there. Okay, what is the differential diagnosis?
Differential diagnosis, ma'am, we'd like to rule out immunodeficiency, other malabsorption syndromes, and renal diseases.
So if you are thinking of persistent diarrhea, that is due to meddling with the probiotics or the microflora, etc. Malabsorption, if you are considering, better you put it as the chronic diarrhea, renal
Chronic.
disease. Will it fit into intrauterine infection? How does intrauterine infection present?
It is unlikely, ma'am, because the baby antenatally was normal, birth weight was also normal, and head circumference of the baby is normal now.
Intrauterine infection can have a normal birth weight. Which intrauterine infection can have normal birth weight? HIV?
Plasma.
Rubella? No, rubella is wrong. Rubella will be
Toxoplasma.
syphilis. Syphilis. Toxoplasma will be low birth weight. Only 2 usually. Syphilis. They can have intrauterine death, then stillbirth, isn't it? So, and weight may not be affected. In HIV also, in utero it won't affect the baby, no? So very few will have normal birth weight. They usually have prematurity, low birth weight, hepatosplenomegaly, jaundice, hematological manifestations, anemia, bleeding manifestations. So intrauterine infections, very, very unlikely. So now I will ask you, what are the other differential diagnoses? You have said some. But when we were discussing the case, we said with the distribution and the diarrhea, it can be something like which micronutrient-related disease.
Zinc.
The
Deficiency.
second diagnosis should be acrodermatitis
Enteropathic.
because mother was breastfeeding. She was not. She didn't abruptly stop it. Okay. And when she realized that the breast milk is less, she started complementary feeding. But baby may be some defect in the transport of the zinc. Second diagnosis, I would differential diagnosis. I would prefer to put it as acrodermatitis enteropathica, which can explain the diarrhea as well as the skin
Skin rash.
But what about the growth retardation? Will acrodermatitis will have growth retardation or not?
No. Growth will be normal, ma'am, for skin.
It may not be perfectly normal.
Some
Stunting. They say that when 20% of children have stunting, assume zinc deficiency in the community. So zinc deficiency will cause more of stunting. But this baby, his length is normal. So don't say growth will be perfectly normal. But we expect some stunting in this baby. That is why it is not your first diagnosis. Okay, acrodermatitis. Then you can say biotinidase deficiency. Some of the CNS manifestations, hypotonia, if you had said, it can be biotinidase deficiency. Okay, then immunodeficiency. That is a good bet. So which immunodeficiency you are considering? Which immunodeficiency are you considering?
T-cell immunodeficiency.
Will that
severe
cause fungus infection? Agreed. Will it cause diarrhea? Which will cause diarrhea? Which immunodeficiency will cause diarrhea more?
IgA deficiency.
IgA is the surface protection, no?
Yes.
Respiratory and respiratory. So which immunodeficiency?
B cell immunodeficiencies.
Are you
IgA.
considering acquired immunodeficiency or primary immunodeficiency? Or both?
Both, ma'am.
Good. So we can consider both. Which will you consider first in this baby?
Acquired, ma'am. HIV.
HIV. Yeah, HIV can manifest like with rash, skin, diarrhea, Kwashiorkor state, Mendel changes, isn't it? Okay.
Yes.
So HIV we can consider, we can rule it out or rule in that. Then primary immunodeficiency also we can consider. Which one? IgA
deficiency.
Combined immunodeficiency, but some cytokine infection should also be there. Being a boy, anything else you can consider?
Egg.
Being a boy?
X-linked egg gamma globulin.
Viscot Aldrich. You must consider. You can consider Viscot Aldrich also. And all the manifestations started around 3 to 4 months. That means usually the primary immunodeficiency is manifest at that time, isn't it? Maternity transferred antibodies may be there, breast milk may be protecting. So we have to consider immunodeficiency as both acquired and congenital. And what is the immunodeficiency that is seen in malnutrition? Somebody had answered that. What is NAIDS? Nutritionally acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. That is, NAIDS is the term for malnutrition associated immunodeficiency. It is similar to HIV/AIDS except for two differences. One is lymphadenopathy will be there in one, it will not be there in the other. Which one lymphadenopathy will be there?
HIV, in HIV and lymphadenopathy will be there.
And hypergammaglobulinemia will be seen in one, which is not there in the other. Hypergammaglobulinemia will be seen in one. HIV. Because of the opportunistic infection. Okay. Then what else? What else? Can it be any food allergy?
Yes, ma'am. Symptoms started after complementary feed.
Skin and diarrhea. Skin manifestations and diarrhea. We'll have to think of food allergy. Which food allergy? Cow's milk protein
allergy, ma'am.
Or any food, any protein for that matter. They say multiple food protein allergy. Then, if it was after introduction of wheat, we can think of celiac. Can celiac wheat allergy produce any skin manifestations? What is the skin manifestation?
Dermatitis herpetiformis.
Very good. Dermatitis herpetiformis. So, food allergy. The mother did not give any cow's milk to the baby or formula to the baby. Still, can you rule it out or will you consider it?
Mother would have been consuming cow's milk, so that can also produce.
That can also cause. So that can also cause the skin changes. So you should think of food allergy. That is why in any persistent or chronic diarrhea, WHO says go for diet A, low milk diet, then no milk diet. Like that you have to go. Low milk, no milk, because there may be the component of cow's milk protein allergy. Then any other debilitating or serious condition with a chronic skin problem. Anybody has a brilliant answer? We can, no, zinc deficiency, everything is we consider. You can take an imprint cytology and the pathologist may give you an answer. I'm giving you a question, a clue. Histiocytosis. Isn't it? There can be lesions on the scalp or body which is continuing, ongoing.
Langerhans histiocytosis.
Histiocytosis is one differential diagnosis you should consider and rule out in this disease. Then, what about chronic skin conditions leading to extrusion of plasma proteins, hypoalbuminemia, edema? I have seen babies like. What are the conditions where it is a primary skin disease, like the dermatologist thought?
Exfoliative.
Atopic dermatitis, exfoliative dermatitis, Lyle's disease. So that can lead to extrusion of plasma proteins, carrier proteins. And the baby can develop this sort of manifestation. Okay. Now, what is the differential diagnosis for the chronic diarrhea? We have considered conditions with chronic diarrhea and skin changes. We have considered skin changes alone. Now we are considering chronic diarrhea. What are the causes of chronic diarrhea?
Malabsorption.
Okay, it can be a malabsorption syndrome. Then it can be maldigestion or malabsorption. That is, we have a luminal digestion. Tell me an example of a defect in the luminal digestion. In the lumen. That is cystic fibrosis. Fibrosis. The enzyme is coming into the lumen. It starts with luminal digestion. Then mucosal digestion. Your lactase intolerance, lactose intolerance, sucrose intolerance, celiac, everything comes in the mucosal defect. Then there can be real absorption defect. Okay. So it can be a malabsorption syndrome, agreed. It can be an ongoing infection. Which all ongoing infections?
Giardiasis.
Giardiasis. Tropical sprue, where some very rare pathogens can be there. Cytomegalovirus is also known to produce that. Then, can it be any inflammatory bowel disease? What is the marker for that? Is it an inflammatory bowel disease? What is the marker for that?
Calprotectin.
Very good. Fecal calprotectin is a marker for that. We can consider sometimes there may be blood in stool, etc. Then dysmotility disorder. There is a group of conditions called dysmotility disorders. What are the other causes?
Congenital diarrhea disease.
That is called CODES. What is CODES? CODES. That is congenital diarrhea and enteropathies. What are they? Tell me some examples of that. Chloride diarrhea, congenital lactase intolerance, fructose intolerance, congenital cystic fibrosis, isn't it? So
Yes,
there
ma'am.
are a lot of congenital diarrhea. Previously, we used to call them protracted diarrhea syndrome of infancy, etc. Now they call it as chronic diarrhea syndromes, diarrheal diseases, and congenital diarrheas and enteropathies. So that can also start very early. Then persistent small intestinal mucosal injury, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Then there is something called fine dysregulation. Have you heard of that? PINE, paracrine causes, immune causes, neural causes, and endocrine causes. So fine dysregulation. So this is a large area of conditions which will have to be. So finally, how will you investigate? So we have considered so many differential diagnoses in this baby. How will you investigate?
Investigations, ma'am. First, start with the basic blood investigations. Hemoglobin, total count. Hemoglobin can suggest anemia. Total count to look for any associated infections.
Type of anemia by the red cell indices, RDW, whether it is iron deficiency, it is B12, folate. Some clue we will get from the peripheral smear and the red cell indices, MCV, etc. Okay, we will do blood counts. Will the blood count help you to look for immunodeficiency? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. There will be T cells.
Leukopenia, lymphopenia.
Lymphopenia will be there.
Lymphopenia will be there in immunodeficiency. Okay.
Then, ma'am, urine cultures, ma'am, urine and blood culture look for any occult infections.
Very good.
Stool culture. Then
And stool routine also, because some pathogens we may
fat
stool fat we can estimate. Okay.
Okay.
It may not be visible. Fat, sometimes we have to estimate and see. Stool fat globules in the stool. Okay.
Then check the RBS, blood urea, electrolytes.
You have to do the RBS. You have to do
urea, renal function, urea, electrolytes.
liver function, renal function, and
Chest X-ray to look for any
magnesium, calcium, magnesium, alkaline phosphatase, etc. Zinc we can do.
Okay.
Then
chest X-ray, MAN2 to rule out any
X-ray chest we can do. What else you will do? If you are seriously thinking of house milk protein allergy, you can do absolute eosinophil count, serum Ig, specific Ig.
Okay.
Okay. Now, how will you manage?
Since it is a case of severe acute malnutrition, and with there is a severe edema, apathy, poor feeding, admit the child.
Okay, good. We have admitted.
I'll check the initial 3 steps. Look for hypothermia, hypoglycemia, and dehydration.
So I apply the 10 steps of SAM management. Previously, on day 1, we were giving blood transfusion. We were giving 200 kilocalories, 4 gram protein, etc. And most of the babies were dying. But now we go step by step. Can you go to the next slide? Next slide.
Discussion, ma'am.
Next slide. So I go press. So I would say that you must go with your checklist for a case of failure study. That is, anthropometry is the gold standard, and use that score whenever needed, because you have now seen that percentage wise you will say this child is moderately underweight, but when you apply it to the set score, we found that it is severely underweight. So that is why I am telling that capitalize on anthropometry. then do relevant lab tests and biochemical. You know why it is important. You may rule out some conditions, you may rule in some conditions. Some complications you can make out only by biochemical and lab tests. And clinical assessment, that we said, where will you look for the changes? What will you look for? Skin changes, hair changes, wasting, etc. Then dietary evaluation, starting from in utero. Here it did not start in utero. IYCF practices, how it collapsed every point of time. Then environmental or ecological, what background this baby is coming. They are not poor. It is not poverty, illiteracy, but it is wrong information, isn't it? It is not because they could not afford even a medical checkup. They did all that, but the baby developed this condition. Then functional assessment. This baby having wasting, so gross motor milestones are arrested. Uh, vitamin D deficiency, so bone growth is affected. This baby is vitamin A deficiency, so the eyes are xerophthalmia is there, like that. Well, so what? That is the functional assessment. Then growth monitoring. When did it start? Did the baby down cross two major sendiles? How the baby is doing after we have treated. So this is your checklist A, B, C, D, F, G. If you put this checklist, you will not miss any of these conditions. Next slide. And see this. What is this?
Enteropathica.
It is acrodermatitis enteropathica. Look at the quality of life. The child is better, looking okay, except for the symmetrical lesion. The rest of the skin is normal. You continue to press. Whereas look at this girl. She is also having, both of them had hair changes, skin changes, but the first child could go home on zinc and zinc supplements, whereas the other baby died. So if you had not applied the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the second baby also was treated as dermatitis, but the baby died, and the hospital had to bear the brunt of the anger of the parents. The last hospital which treated this baby, because everybody told them it is skin, and then how did the baby die? That was the question. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Next slide. Okay, go on pressing. So how do you diagnose SAM in less than 6 months? Wait for length less than -3 Z score or pitting edema. These two are same as for SAM above 6 months. But then what is there? Visible severe wasting in the length is less than 45 centimeters. Why this 45 centimeters? Because in WHO charts, the weight for length starts with 45. So if the baby is 40 centimeters, we don't know what is the expected weight for 40 centimeters. So that is why. So this criteria has been now accepted. And 6 to 59 months, we know weight for this baby had weight less than -3. This baby had a MUA 11.5 less than, and pitting fetal edema. One criteria is enough. And how do you diagnose MAM? That is weight for height between -2 to -3 and MUA between 11.5 and 12.4 and no edema. Next slide. This is how you should do the edema assessment. Press for at least 3 seconds, 1001, 1002, 1003. Like PMC sir teaches us, no? When you count, you must do like this, 1001, 1002, 1003. Like that you must. And see, look for edema of the feet, ankles, lower legs, then face and rest of it. Next. Next slide. So we must understand that babies with SAM go into reductive adaptation initially. That is, they conserve the energy. This is the term. Who put forward the theory of adaptation? Dr. Gopal.
Gopal.
And So they will reduce physical activity and growth, and they will slow down their basal metabolism. They will reduce their functional reserve. Finally, there will be sodium potassium pump will fail, and they will reduce inflammation and immune responses, and all their systems are going to get affected. That is why we should prepare a special diet for this child. We should not be rehabilitating or treating them with the usual diet of idli, sambar, etc. Because the sodium we have to restrict. And in NRCs, they say that I have visited many NRCs. They say that no bystander is allowed to eat in front of the child, because the child will ask for your food and the baby is not. So you have to prepare the food for the special food for the child. That is the reason. Right? Next slide. And so Dr. Michael Golden put forward the theory of and Golden's theory of what? Oxidative stress. So he put forward this 10 steps and he said you should treat hypoglycemia. Due to lack of time, I'm not going into how you will treat hypoglycemia, hypothermia, dehydration. Assume dehydration if the child has got watery diarrhea and there is reduced urine output, increased thirst. Sometimes they may not drink also. Electrolyte imbalances. Total body sodium is more, but because of the edema, there will be dilutional hyponatremia. But don't give extra sodium to this child. That may be the end of the step, because the sodium potassium pump has already failed. Give extra potassium to the child. Treat the infection. That can be according to the FIMNCI. What is FIMNCI? Facility-based IMNCI. IMNCI book may say you give ampicillin and gentamicin. None of us will give ampicillin and gentamicin to the child, because we follow our hospital protocol. That is, our facility protocol says that any child should be getting third generation cephalosporin. So we have the mandate to start the third generation cephalosporin to this child also. So infection can be treated according to the hospital protocol, because the policies vary, the infection types vary. Then micronutrients. We have to give one by one micronutrients and continue for at least 2 weeks or till the micronutrient deficiency is corrected. Then you have to initiate cautious feeding. How much do we start with?
130 ml per kg of 75.
So 100
kilocalories
and 1 gram protein kg per day. And when you reach F growth, what do? You change the F75 to
F100.
So
100
calories. What protein per kg? Same volume you start. 3 grams.
Same volume, and then
so 3 gram per kg of. So we start with 100 calories and 1 gram protein. We go to 100 calories and 3 gram protein. And then we go to 200 kilocalories, 200 ml. So we reach where? Where do we reach? 200 kilocalories and how much protein? 6 gram protein. That is it. So we start with 1 gram protein, we reach up to 6 gram protein. Then we have to give sensory stimulation. We have to plan the discharge policies and follow up. Next slide. Next slide. And vitamin A, you will give on day 1, day 2, and day 14 if there is deficiency. But if there is edema, wait for the edema to get cleared. Otherwise, you can give injectable preparations, that is Aquasol A. That will not cause any storage. Aquasol is water soluble. We have to give the old preparation for storage. Think we start on day 1 and continue. If 2 milligram per kilogram can be given. Copper we have to start on day 1. Folic acid you have to start. Multivitamins. But what about iron? Iron is started
rehabilitation phase after 7 days.
After stabilization. Why iron is not started initially?
The carrier proteins will be deficient.
Unbound iron in the gut can cause infectious morbidity. That is, E. coli can thrive and there can be lot of oxidative damage. And the child is having reductive adaptation. If the child absorbs iron, the body will try to convert it into ferritin because that is an acute phase reaction, isn't it?
Yes.
More of energy, calorie, and amino acids will be wasted. So we don't give it. But suppose the baby is having 4 gram hemoglobin on day 1. What can you do?
Blood transfusion, ma'am. If it is
Fat cell transfusion.
4 to 5 ml per kg.
Yeah, small packed PRBC can be given on day 1. Suppose you fail to give it on day 1, don't give. Second day, third day, the edema fluid will start coming and the child may die of the blood transfusion. How do you know there is fluid overload when you treat?
There will be increase in respiratory rate by 5 or heart rate by 25.
Yes.
Then there will be features of fluid overload like basal capitations,
Liver size, grinding respiration. So we'll have to look for that. Go to next slide. Next slide. And how do you prepare the F75? It can be cereal based or non-cereal based. This we have to make this preparation. We cannot go for our routine diet for this baby. No, we'll have to give this. 75 can be. And what is puffed rice? Puri. Once I told someone to give this cereal based. This baby is more than 6 months, so we can go for the cereal based. And what did they do? They cooked rice and added it to that. It won't get powdered, no? We have to powder the puffed rice and then give it. Next slide. Similarly, F100 also can be made by, it can be milk based or it can be cereal based. Next slide. What is RUSF and what is RUTY? Ready to use therapeutic food. If the baby is more than 6, this baby would like to eat also, no? Not only drink. So we can, some of the F100 can be substituted by RUTF. RUTF is a patented product, Plumpy Nut, EC paste, etc. But Government of India said no multinational should make money out of our malnutrition. So we are asked to make indigenous preparations. But the indigenous preparations lack the exact amount of calorie, protein, and the micronutrients, because what we prepare may not have zinc, copper, etc. with it, magnesium, etc. with it. So that is called RUSF, ready to use supplementary food. Initially, this was allowed only for MAM. MAM cases can be managed with RUSF and SAM cases with RUT. But nowadays, we are even managing SAM cases with this. In SAT, we used to make it with SAT mix, which is lethal pulse, with skimmed milk powder and MCT powder oil in the ratio 3:1:1. 100 grams should give 500 calories and how much protein? RUTF? 100 grams should give 500 calories and 15 grams.
15 grams.
Next slide. Next slide. So, how do you know that the baby is improving? Weight gain more than 10 gram per kg per day. What is tick sign? Tick sign.
There will be initial drop in weight due to loss of edema, followed by a steady increase in weight.
Yes, good. So, if the weight gain is less than 10, check for infection. If the weight gain is less than 5, there may be something you missed, HIV or psychological problem, tuberculosis, something. Okay. And target weight for discharge will be 15 to 20% more than the trough weight. And when will you say this baby is cured? What was the expected weight for length for this baby?
Weight for length was 7.8 kg, ma'am.
So 7.8, 90% of that. What is that?
Around 6.5.
So this baby will have to lose the edema fluid, come to a trough, and then gain. Now the is 5.3. The baby will have to reach to 6.7.
More than 6.7.
Then we can say that this baby is malnutrition is cured. And this baby does not have any funding. So that is a positive sign. Next slide. So what is refeeding syndrome or recovery, nutrition recovery syndrome? That is, nowadays it is very rare with the cautious type of feeding, F100, F75, etc. We start with 11 ml per kg per feed and reach up to 22 ml per kg per feed. And our stomach capacity is said to be 30 ml per kg. But we can feed only up to 20 or 22 ml because there should be space for gas, digestive juice, for space for turning the food, etc. So with the cautious type of feeding, this recovery syndrome is now very, very rare. The features are the hypophosphatemia,
hypokalemia,
hypomagnesemia, and
vitamin D.
glycemia. Then fluid retention, cardiac arrest, and sometimes death can occur. But we'll have to go, when we go slow and steady, we will not see. Next slide. So I think we will skip to the next slide. Here. The ICMR recommendations. The ICMR recommendations 2020 is out. You can see that the requirement of energy for a 6 to 12 month baby, they have put it very low, 670. Because if you feed exclusively on breastfeeding or cow milk, etc., they are all obesogenic. Whereas breast milk plus this much of calories. Then 1 to 3 years, they have reduced 50 calories. For all the other age groups of childhood, they have increased. And for adults, what they have done, minus 10, minus 20, they reduced when compared to 2010. Next slide. And see, when we think of the EAR, that is estimated average requirement, that will cover 50% of the population. But many people may be obese or overweight. So they have put RDA, recommended dietary allowances, at +2 standard deviations to cover 95%. Then comes the tolerable upper limit. Then comes the no observed adverse event limit. Then low observed adverse event limit. Next. And so the tolerable upper limits have been prescribed. You can see what is the tolerable upper limit for iron. It is now they have brought it down to 45. The Anemia Mukt Bharat has also brought it down to 60 to 100. What is the tolerable upper limit for adult for zinc? 40. And what is it for folate? 1000 micrograms, 1 milligram. But because the company is producing 5 milligram, we are giving 5 milligram. Are we justified in doing that? No. Vitamin C, 2 grams. But in COVID season, people are taking too much. Vitamin A has a ceiling. Vitamin D, look at that, there is a ceiling. 4000 IU per day. That means for 30 days, 12,000 lakhs. And for infant, 1000 IU per day. That means 30 days, maximum will be
30,000.
And so that has been fixed. So when you give health, don't exceed this. Next slide. So are there any questions in the chat box? Quickly answer. Any doubts or any questions? Or is it clear? So thank you, Sri Lakshmi, for that good case and the way you presented everything. Very good. Huh?
Thank you, madam, for that. It was a nice discussion, ma'am.
Thank you, Elizabeth, madam. It was always a pleasure and privilege to Dr. Sri Lakshmi, an excellent presentation. And
somebody
also,
has discharge criteria, that is 3 consecutive days there is weight gain, at least 5 grams per kg per day. Immunization is completed and edema has disappeared. Appetite is good. Then we can.
And also a big congratulations to all the postgraduates who have answered enthusiastically, especially Dr. Abhinaya, Dr. Savita, Dr. Anjana, Dr. Ardra, and one more PG. Name is not there. So
Who is that?
starting with 1E, I don't know the name. If next time if everybody logs in with the name, maybe we can know. And a big thank to all the senior teachers and doctors who have joined for the program.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you all, ma'am. So
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
so we'll be closing the session now. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.